This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
Welcome into the Culver studio. Happy to be here with you as I am already making mistakes in the chat because I said hurry y'all and I meant to say hey y'all to everybody in the chat. So it sounds like I'm absolutely yelling at everybody in the chat room, but that is not the case.
It works,
Happy to have
though.
everybody here. Hurry y'all.
Hurry,
Hey y'all.
come get in.
I don't know. It's one of the two, but I meant to say hey.
It could also be an acronym for "How are you?"
You think so?
It could be, but
Okay.
then you also added an @ sign,
I did.
and it kind of just looks like you passed out and hit your head against the keyboard.
That is correct. That is the chance of happening here today for sure. My life is a wreck because of my beard. I still draw a lot of attention. I got to get rid of it.
Is that happening?
Yes, eventually I'm going to shake this bad boy up and we're going to get rolling here with the beard game. But it was so bad that me and Reed were having a conversation on Friday.
Yes.
And we're talking, and it's a serious conversation in tone. And he breaks and he's like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry, but you have oatmeal cream pie." in your beard." And I was like,
No.
and I pull out a chunk of oatmeal cream pie out of my
I
beard.
hate the word chunk.
It was a chunk of
So
oatmeal
nasty.
cream
Did you
pie.
snack on it right after?
I put it in my pocket for later.
All right, good.
And
Safekeeping.
oh, it's still in there. Oh my
Is it
gosh.
really?
No, I'm kidding. EG. I'm not that big of a slob.
Well,
But anyway, we're all here with you on the Meltdown. We appreciate all of your support, especially over the past week. We had one of our best weeks ever with all the content that we put out, and we really appreciate all of you guys flocking to the content, hitting that thumbs up button for us, being a part of the comment section, being a part of the live chat. Thank you so much for being here as a proud Meltdonian as we broadcast from the Culver studio. I am Tim Melton, and I want to welcome back EG and Tyler officially here for another week of Meltdown 2.0. Tyler, how was the weekend?
It was pretty good. A lot of recovering. Thankfully, not many new releases other than the ones we already caught early access.
Yeah.
So I got to chill at home for a little bit. I rewatched The Dark Knight.
Always a solid choice.
Always a solid choice. That opening bank robbery scene, perfection. Perfection. Yeah, just recovering from the incredible week we had last week. Thanks to all the loyal Meltdonians out there supporting the content. We've got the Gladiator review if you haven't seen it yet. The what will happen in Batman Part 2 video. We've got a Wicked review. Go check it out.
I think we should start, in order to catch algorithms, I think we should start reviewing Wicker. Like just going around in different Wicker items for people who mispress on the keyboard, much like me in the chat today. And
mind that.
we accidentally get a lot of views from people searching Wicked, but instead it's just reviews of different furniture made of wicker.
Yeah,
I think it could.
that tracks.
All right. EG, how was the weekend? I know you had a very busy one.
Yes, it was fabulous. I had a long day on Saturday, but in the best way. Started off in Statesboro, Georgia, covered the last men's basketball game that will ever be played in Hanner Fieldhouse. It's where my dad played. And then hit the road, got to Auburn at like 6:00, so had plenty of time. And then experienced that game for overtime.
That was a wild game.
Wow. And then made it back and lived to tell the tale.
So were you on the field when everybody
Yes.
decided that they were going to make their way onto the field?
So I was in the press box for this game. Usually I'm on the field. I was in the press box and I come down and 5 minutes left in the fourth. Media that are up there can make their way down to the field level. And it was freezing that night. It was finally a cold game. And so I'm waiting in the media room. And by the third overtime, I said, okay, I should probably head out there to see if, something significant is going to happen. And it did. So I was there for the field storming. Now, I have a strategy going forward that I think I'm going to employ each time I'm in that situation. And that is to follow the away coach because you are in his huddle.
Right.
And you have state troopers pushing people out of the way. There's a little bit of a barrier around him, if you will. So I attached myself right next to Mike Elko and it was very smooth for me. No issues at all.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
That does seem like a good idea because the away coaches have to have like the police escort in and out.
Exactly.
So
very
that's
smart.
good thinking.
Yeah, thank you.
Tips for anybody else that finds themselves in that situation. Very few people. Let's get into maybe what those troopers needed to get on the case for, and that is our top story we're going with here today.
All right, let's do it.
I saw this story. It's a business story. It's a retail story. It's a theft. It's crime. It's everything. It's
Mhm.
got everything all in one. There's a couple from Connecticut that now faces charges for allegedly taking part in an intricate retail theft operation targeting the apparel company Lululemon that may have amounted to $1 million. I wanted to say that in the Dr. Evil voice. $1 million worth of stolen items. The couple, Jadian Anthony Richards, age 44, and Aquel Nakisha Laws Richards, 45, were arrested November 14th in Woodbury, Minnesota, a suburb of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Richards and Laws Richards have been charged with one count each of organized retail theft, which is a felony, and the alleged operation impacted Lululemon stores in multiple states, including the state of Minnesota. For those that are unaware,
Mhm.
Lululemon still a significant apparel company around these
Yeah,
days?
I would say so. I mean, I think that it's losing popularity in some aspects. I think other athletic wear companies are kinda catching on and rising in popularity. I feel like lately Lululemon has had to kind of branch out from their core
Right.
to try and meet trends, and I feel like when you see a company starting to do that, that means that you know that they're not profiting as much as they should
They're
be.
getting desperate.
Mhm.
I am not a Lululemon shopper. I don't think Tyler is a Lululemon shopper. I don't think we're the clientele for that type of store.
We are not.
But I do think that they target the EGs of the world,
Yes,
and
for sure.
there are some pricey items in there from what I can tell.
Yes, and
Would have to be to total $1 million worth of retail theft.
right, and I mean, at this point too, I feel like Lulu was, kind of built on this quality athleisure leggings, tops, for yoga. It was built for yoga, really. But with the rise of Amazon storefronts and Amazon, the ability to supply basically anything that you need, everything has been duped.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little surprised that they were the company that was targeted because, I mean, me personally, I do not know the last time I bought something brand new from Lululemon.
Well, here's where the strategy went into place, and
Mhm.
that was create a distraction in store,
Oh my gosh.
like take up a giant coat and put it up to where some criminal activity is happening when it comes to cutting off the sensors on
Oh,
merchandise, steal the physical merchandise, escape the store then with no sort of alarms or
yeah, any
anything,
Yeah.
alert.
and then go to another Lululemon store and return the items.
Oh, interesting. So that was
Oh,
how they were profiting.
that is how they were making the
Now,
majority of their money.
I'm curious. So they were returning things without tags on them?
Seems to be the case. Or else they were maybe it had tags, but it didn't have the security
The
sensor stuff.
sensors.
So it would have had the tags on there.
Wow, because I was wondering if they were reselling them on the secondary market
They
because
may
that's
have been
very
doing that too.
popular.
That would take forever.
They may have been doing
Wow.
some of that too, but obviously you don't want any sort of digital trace that you
No.
have the merchandise.
So
So,
they created like a big diversion for it.
mhm.
Oh wow! Normally, when I've seen videos of these theft rings, they'll just take those big shopping bags and
Yeah.
line them with tinfoil and stuff, and that'll block the security.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know all
Well,
that.
this is
I saw it on live PD.
so
Good show.
interesting because I feel like when I have returned things, and I actually, I shop at Lululemon, not that anyone cares about my shopping habits, but for me, their rain gear is incredible. So like I have like my little rain suit for games is from Lululemon. It's an investment. I'm not gonna lie and sit here that it's not expensive, but it really is good quality. Now, do I think you need a $100 pair of leggings? No, I think that you can get the same thing on Amazon. But what I'm curious about is my mom's FaceTiming me. That's funny.
No, it's okay. While she does that, I do want to get to this because it goes to your point.
Okay.
Charles in the chat, when I said there was $1 million in merchandise stolen, Charles goes, okay, so 4 pairs of leggings. Got it.
Literally, right, right. But I say all that because, I had to return my jacket because it was damaged. The zipper had broken, and I'd only worn it once, and it's an expensive jacket. So I go back in, but the return process was like I had to give them my firstborn child. So I'm curious how they, like, were able to get around all of that with this non-receipted merchandise.
Well, they finally messed up and they set off one of the alarms. And there'd been some sort of, it seems, private retail investigator because Lululemon was once again
Wow.
hit and hit and hit. And there was a private investigator that supposedly recognized this couple as being the ones that were hitting
Mhm.
Lululemon, and he's the one that once the alarm got set off was brought in, and he was able to get their information to the authorities. They were allowed to leave the Roseville store where they set off the alarms by accident. The investigator later told an officer who responded to the incident that Richards and Laws Richards were seasoned shoplifters who apparently stole close to $5,000 of Lululemon items just that one day,
Holy cow.
and they were potentially responsible for hundreds of thousands of dollars in loss to the store across the country. That number was eventually estimated by an investigator for the brand to be as much as $1 million worth of merchandise.
Mm.
And this was a situation where, once again, they were committing fraudulent returns with the stolen items at different Lululemon stores. Authorities wrote in the complaint that, quote, the group worked together using specific organized retail crime tactics, such as blocking and distraction of associates to commit large thefts. They selected coats and jackets and held them up as if they were looking at them in a manner that blocked the view of the staff and other guests. While they selected and concealed items, they removed security sensors using a tool of some sort at multiple stores. They're now scheduled to be in court December 16th, but I think the book will be very much thrown at this couple.
Yes, and I almost look at the Lululemon employees that it's like, how did they get away with this for so long? I don't think that blocking a coat can really hinder that much
Yeah, how
suspicious
how big is this
activity.
coat?
Yeah.
I think that what they did was they would approach the nearest, allegedly approach the nearest employee and make sure they were distracted enough to where they had no view
Yeah.
of what was going on in the background. There's also supposedly one more person that's unidentified that was a part of this whole thing in store, and they're going to track them down eventually too.
If
So
any of our chat members have worked in retail, I'm curious how inventory works on something like that. Do you just account for theft with your totals, or like how did they
well,
not?
Yeah, they call it breakage. If anything breaks or gets stolen, goes missing.
we're going to get a chat check in here from
Okay.
Tyler, but first I want to say this. There's some people that are like, well, I don't really shop at Lululemon, doesn't affect me or whatever. Anytime retail theft happens, you know who those costs get passed on to eventually? It's
Us.
Everybody
the
else.
consumers that are
Uh,
paying up front for everything. So when all of this retail theft happens, it makes all of our lives holy,
mhm.
Hades. And also the inconvenience of there's a lot of stores that just feel like they have to lock up all their merchandise
Right.
now.
I was at Walmart, so I left my makeup bag again, not that you guys care about this, but I left my makeup bag here and I had a game in Athens. And on the way up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need makeup. So I have to go to Walmart and the entire cosmetic section is completely locked up.
Yeah.
So you have to get an attendant. And if
Well,
you're
good
in a
luck
hurry,
finding one.
right? Good luck finding one. A. B. If you're in a hurry, you have to stand with that attendant and they have to unlock every single window of any product that you want. And if you're like indecisive, well, then now you're holding up her. Someone else needs to get it. There's only one person there. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah,
Horrible.
I agree.
Same thing at like pharmacies and stuff
Yeah.
too. Any CVS or Walgreens, and there's even less employees at those.
Yeah.
And they're having to close those stores
Oh yeah,
like
Completely.
wildfire.
Mhm.
So it's a big mess. This affects us all, especially around a time of year where shopping is top of mind
Yeah.
because all these deals that are hitting for Black Friday week and Cyber Monday and leading up to the holiday season. What's the chat saying, Tyler?
So chat is saying Jody has an interesting story here. He says he worked a case where a guy half emptied a 50-pound bag of dog food, filled the other half up with high-end electronics, taped the bag, the attendant scans it without noticing.
I mean, that's kind of like
So
elite thinking right there.
I
Like, I
mean,
almost can't fault the
yeah,
guy.
if you're willing to risk prison, I agree.
I
It's
mean,
like,
wow, that's creative.
but I mean, still, it's the creativity of these schemes and stuff. The retail stores are always one step behind
Yeah.
of whatever the next trick is, but
Mhm.
it's going to eventually lead to a point where when you go into a brick and mortar setting, there's going to be no product for
Yeah.
you to actually hold or look at or try on, or you're going to have to be babysat the entire time, which is only going to affect
The consumer.
the consumer and the retailer themselves because
Right.
people will just go, well, if I wanted this experience, I would go online.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy consumerism world right now for sure, Tyler.
Yep. And then we've also got a quick little fact check. I said breakage was a retail theft loss. It's actually shrinkage.
Oh,
Shrinkage.
So
Interesting.
Breaking Bad misinformed me.
well, there we go.
Dang it, Jesse Pinkman.
Um, let's go with this next. a big time vocalist ending a residency in Vegas. This was a big announcement that this residency was even going to take place. And if you remember, we're talking about Adele at Caesar's Palace. Adele had this big announcement that she was going to start a residency at Caesar's Palace, and then it went about as bad as it could for a
Mhm.
launch. And they had to cancel the opening night show and
Mm.
postpone the entire production. And everyone thought, like, oh my gosh, is this the end of Adele as we know it? E.g., you obviously listen to a lot of music on the
Yeah.
road for sure. Is Adele one of those artists that finds yourself in your playlists, or are you not that big of an Adele fan? Because I remember when you were talking about going to see Taylor Swift, I feel like you had also talked about wanting to see
Yeah,
Adele live.
yes, I would love to see her live. I feel like her music isn't what I'm looking for very often. I think she's incredibly talented. I think she's one of the best vocalists of all time, truthfully, and her live music is insane. Me personally, it's a little too I don't want to say depressing, but it's not very upbeat.
No, if you want a good
If you want
cry,
a good cry, turn on Adele.
oh, so unlike
You would wish nothing
but
but the best for you. Ooh.
we're gonna get a
So
copyright
good.
strike anyway because that was
If
so
the mic
perfect.
That
even
was
picked
so
that
good.
up.
I hope it
We've
did.
been
was-
we've been struggling with that
No,
lately.
it was so perfect. I hope the mic did pick it up
Me
because
too.
I'm gonna go back and listen to that while I'm in the car. I don't even need Adele anymore because we have the
Agreed.
Giant and the Peach. Woo. I should warn people when we're about to give a musical
know.
performance so they can hide all of
Yeah,
their,
you should.
their
Well,
animals
I know.
from being nearby.
Only cats can hear when that note we
I
hit.
feel like livestock does not like when we sing.
No, but that's okay.
Okay. Anyway, I think we were talking about Adele's music
Yeah.
is kind of depressing,
Kinda
but every
depressing.
now and then, you know what? You need to look in the mirror and cry.
You do. Tune it up. Say
Yeah,
Adele. I
That's
need to look at myself in the mirror.
well, Adele was very sad before
Mm.
she started her residency because she, thought that there's no way they're going to get this production together and,
Right.
and make it as quality as she wanted. Well, those fears were squashed. They took the time, and she's giving a lot of advice here. She's a 16-time Grammy winner,
That's a lot of Grammys.
a lot of Grammys. I wouldn't say she's gotten a lot of radio play lately,
Mm-mm.
but she very much is one of the titans in the vocalist industry. And she said, quote, I am so sad that this residency is over, but I'm so glad that it happened. I really, really am. It got off to such a effing rocky start. And it was one of the worst years of my life ever in my life. It was the worst year of my life. I was being punched around. It was blanking horrible. And I was told it was career suicide and that Vegas would never forgive me for doing something so last minute. But we were talking as a team earlier, which was when I first started crying. And had I done a show that I canceled, I certainly wouldn't be standing here tonight doing my 100th show here at the Coliseum. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but Adele was singing in the Coliseum, walking around the crowd, and she spotted Celine Dion in the crowd. And she had to stop singing and she started crying. She's very emotional, obviously. And she couldn't hardly sing the rest of the song because she spotted Celine Dion because Celine Dion is her childhood hero.
Idol.
I mean, she said that's the person that motivated her to even be there. And without her, there would be no Adele. And it came across, and I know, I'm sure that there's a lot of cynics that are like, she had to know Celine Dion was there, blah, blah, blah. But it came across so genuinely. If it was some sort of Celine is definitely here tonight and you're going to spot her at some point and it's going to make you cry moment, they pulled it off well because it made me feel something watching it because, when you're performing and you spot someone there that means a lot to you, it's always a very valuable thing. It'd be like, Jim Dunaway sitting over here in this seat while we're doing this
Right,
show
it would
and me
be-
spotting him and being like, oh my God, Jim,
Whoa.
you're the reason I'm in the business.
Yeah, take a moment
Yeah.
to ground yourself.
Yeah.
No, I do think Adele, one thing I've noticed about this residency is that she continually seeks out people in the crowd. She saw, I want to say, a teacher of hers at one point. Either it was a music teacher, a teacher.
I saw that video.
Yeah, someone from grade school. And I mean, she stopped the concert and was like, I remember you. I know you. I think that's very unique and special about her concerts is that she's still one of the few artists, in my opinion, that is very interactive with the crowd that's there. So it does not surprise me that she had an emotional reaction to Miss Dion being there.
I think that Adele's music is something that definitely makes you cry.
For sure.
Going to the dentist should not make you cry.
No, she's
That
not.
should not be something that you're doing at the dentist. If you are every time you go to the dentist just bawling out because of either you're experiencing too much pain or anxiety, I encourage you to reach out to the dental team that we trust most, located on Grants Mill Road. Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, Dr. Nolan over at Alabama Dental Associates. They provide all sorts of services when it comes to staying on top of your dental health, whether you have a nagging toothache or you need to get on top of those regular cleanings, they're there for you. Maybe you're new in town and you're trying to find that dentist nearby. Reach out and try Alabama Dental Associates for yourself. They're accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, call them 205 956 8977 or visit alabamadental.com where they look forward to seeing you. Adele, once again, giving some advice. Quote, if something doesn't feel right to you, don't blanking do it. It doesn't matter. And I'm talking about gut instinct. When something doesn't feel right, don't do it. So tonight, e.g., at the poker table,
Mm,
if something doesn't feel right, if
wise
it feels
words.
like it, some sort of bet, you're being enticed to make some sort of play that you don't want to make, trust your gut.
Okay.
Because tonight, I've heard Jim Dunaway will be at the poker table.
Oh, wow. Making his debut, the season debut.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I don't think that's accurate factually, but I'm sure you'll
Really?
argue it somehow. Yeah.
When was he last there?
Like he's been a part of the season multiple times.
I guess I've just missed him every time.
This is the last game of the season tonight,
Yeah.
but there's 15 games in a season. He's been to probably 5 of them. Yeah.
Huh. All right.
Yeah. So enjoy that. Adele dropped her last album 30 back in 2021. So it's been a hot minute since we've
Yeah.
gotten new Adele music for sure, but she is, after kicking off her Vegas residency in November of 2022, making a concert film for fans who couldn't make it to the show. This is the hot new rage, Tyler. Every single artist, they have this big, huge tour or this project, and then they release a concert film in the theaters where it's typically a separate event where it's not covered by A-list or something like that, and you have to pay as a
Of course
diehard
they
fan.
are.
I assume you will not be going to see the Adele concert film.
No interest. I like Adele fine, but I really haven't listened to much of her music since gosh, was it like the 21 album
Mm-hmm.
or 22 album?
It's a hot minute
It's been a while. It's been a while,
for sure.
but
Let's get to who the titans of the current music scene are, because the Billboard Music Award nominations came out today. Leading the pack, it's not Taylor Swift.
Shocker.
Zach Bryan with the most nominations today.
not getting my vote.
Taylor Swift second, Morgan Wallen third. They all have 50 nominations between them for the event airing December 12th on Fox. Rank those 3 in order of enjoy the most to the least. Zach Bryan, Taylor Swift, Morgan Wallen.
Taylor Swift, Morgan Wallen, negative 59 million. Zach Bryan.
So you've sold all your stock on Zach Bryan.
Yeah.
You delete all your songs from the playlist too?
I never had him on the playlist to begin
Oh,
with.
okay.
I know.
All right.
I'm pretty proud of that.
All right.
Okay, so you were never a huge fan, and then now you're even
Oh,
less
yeah.
of a fan.
Yeah, and I think that someone that's probably very angry at that list is Dave Portnoy because he loves Taylor Swift. And the fact that Zach Bryan is ahead of her, not going to go over well.
Zach Bryan with a lot of award nominations, and it does feel like anytime I see a Zach Bryan clip going viral or something, when I go to the comment section, I mean, it's just roasting him alive.
Ruthless.
I mean, just absolutely brutalizing him.
He's not a good person.
So you think that all the reports that you've heard
Yeah.
could carry a lot of weight?
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, it is an amazing he's having the most critical acclaim of his life,
Mm-hmm.
while also facing the biggest personal struggles potentially of his life with the relationship issue with
Brie.
Chicken Fry.
We need Dunaway for this conversation.
We do need Dunaway for this conversation. Maybe it'll come up at the poker table
Yeah,
tonight.
hopefully.
But I don't know what the future of his career looks like, because it seems like there's a fan revolt against him right now.
Yeah, and I feel like it's not even like it goes deeper than revolt. I feel like it's just a societal we do not like this man. Do you feel that too, Tyler?
From what I've heard, yeah, so the cynical part of my brain says, well, Chris Brown still tours, so Zach Bryan might be all right. But this seems to be more of a grassroots dislike for Zach Bryan, as opposed to just every media outlet in the world covering the story, but people still flocking to those shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's also, and I agree with you, it's also in our culture, you reach the top, the fall comes
Is
next.
mhm.
And it's just a matter of time for everybody. It feels like for just about everybody. And Zach Bryan right now may be having that moment where he's
It's
been built
time.
up and it's time for the audience to tear him down because that's just the way cyclically it works in the entertainment
And
industry.
it's
See, that's why Morgan
happening.
Wallen's doing all right now. He got his fall out of the way early.
What's interesting is I feel like it happens quicker and quicker now. The cycle is not as long. It's your time at the top is very short.
Because everyone's armed with social media now and
Exactly.
that campaign against you goes quick.
Yep.
And it just you see it in real time.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we're experiencing that fully with Zach Bryan, but musically, on top of the Billboard Awards nominations and is nominated in some instances multiple times in a single category. So absolutely crushing it there with the Billboard Music Awards. All right, let's get to the weekend box office. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Wicked.
Wicked.
We had a wicked week last week, and there was a wicked weekend for everybody to absorb the film. I was looking at showtimes today for Wicked, and they're jam packed
Really?
around
How
the area.
many?
I mean, there's not only a lot being offered, but they're like full. Like people
Wow.
are loading in there on a Monday
I
evening to
guess
watch
it's
them.
Thanksgiving break for a lot of people.
It is Thanksgiving break for a lot of people, but those theaters are going to be even more jam packed over the holiday with people looking to get out of the house.
Yep. Mhm.
So it's going to be a huge movie week with not only Wicked, but also Gladiator. And you throw Moana 2 into the mix, which is going to lead the pack of them all, or at least should this week, with it being Wicked's second week, Gladiator's second week. Then it's just going to be pandemonium at the theater. Tyler, I feel like you've sort of found comfort in getting away from humanity by going to the theater, and now humanity is going to be
Now I can't do
flocking to
that.
the theater.
I can't do that. I go to a late night Sunday showing
Yeah,
last night to an independent movie. So my thinking is like nobody is going to this movie at this time. Everybody's going to see Wicked or Gladiator, or they're saying, I'll hold off till next week to take the kids to see Moana."
wrong again.
Wrong again. Is awful. It was nearly sold out completely except for the very first row as well as the handicap row. Um, yeah, good crowd though. Very polite. Um, but very crowded. I like the empty theater.
You once you get used to it,
Oh, it's so nice, Tim. It's so
yeah,
nice. You go there, you got your popcorn and your drink, you prop your feet up with the recliner, and you look around. There's not a single soul in the theater. You can just pull out your phone, take notes, fire off a quick text,
you're
whatever.
you're really not going to have that full comfort of knowing you're going to have that experience until January now, because not only do you have, these releases that are going to hold really well, and there's going to be a lot of people. Now you'll be seeing stuff where there's going to be people that maybe aren't flocking to those
The
movies,
outskirts,
Exactly.
if you will.
but the actual theater ecosystem where you could
Oh yeah.
roam the halls and like do your out of the theater without bumping into a bunch of people, it's going to be tougher all the way until January where things really calm down because there's obviously Christmas is another wave of movies that people are going to flock
There's like 5 or 6 movies
to.
that come out Christmas Day. We got Nosferatu, we got the is it Robbie Williams?
That is
The
correct.
Better Man
Um,
is a biopic of a singer, but he's a monkey. That actually looks really good, and I think it'll perform really well with in memes.
Probably, but I'm not looking very forward to it. It does look like a movie made for the
Are
internet.
y'all Christmas Day movie people?
Um,
No,
I'm normally not, but I will be this year.
Wait, why? 'Cause of that?
Yeah, just
Oh.
just to knock out everything.
I am
Um,
a Thanksgiving Day movie person,
Huh.
I'll
but
probably be one of those this week too.
I always watch Christmas Day releases early January, typically,
Yeah.
is when I'll knock all those out.
Yeah.
But, I just Christmas, I have so many other traditions that
Mhm.
movies haven't made my way into Christmas. However, Thanksgiving, we've gone to the movies every single
Oh,
year.
that's fun.
And, well, it's fun, except my wife is like, well, what movie are we going to this year? And I'm like, well, I've already seen Wicked. Um, obviously we're bringing our daughter, and I will have seen Moana 2 this week. So I'm like, I'll pick which one of those two is better. But
Yeah.
they're like, oh, okay. So you will have already seen the two options. And I'm like, yeah, but I go see movies multiple times. But but if Moana 2 stinks for some
That's gonna be
reason,
hard to.
I guess we'll go to Wicked. I mean,
Will
Wicked was
Chloe like it?
fine. She will, but I mean, she won't love it, which is why I'm not like, we got to go see Wicked.
Yeah.
She won't absolutely love it. I think it's a little old for
Yeah.
her, just a
Agreed.
little bit. But
Might be
you know,
too long of a movie
it's
too.
3 hours
Yeah.
whole all-in experience with commercials and previews, and a lot of those commercials for Wicked, because all the product tie-ins. Have you
Yes.
seen all the product tie-ins that Wicked's had?
Yes. Yes. There's been quite a few, but are y'all planning on going to see the movie Bonhoeffer?
That's what
I saw that last night.
Oh, my
that's what we went to go
parents
see
went and
last night.
saw it on Friday night.
Yep.
Yeah, they want me to communicate that to you guys to go see it if you haven't yet.
Packed theaters. That's
Yep.
a movie that's pleasing a lot of individuals, and once again another offering this Thanksgiving
Yeah.
week that is going to pack up the parking lots of theaters that honestly need the business. I mean, it has been a down year overall, and the next 2 weeks, all you'll hear about is how big theaters are winning. And then it'll go back to maybe a little bit of a slump until those Christmas Day hits happen. And then you got the Wicked sing alongs that are going to be happening, that's going to be released at the end of December. So it's going to be a movie that's
Hmm.
around for a while, and it's getting a lot of award buzz. We'll talk about it. If you look at the top 5 domestic openings for any musical, number one on the list, 2019's The Lion King. Number two is 2017's Beauty and the Beast. Number three is Frozen 2. Number four is Wicked with $114 million opening up this weekend here in the US. When you look at global openings for any musical, Wicked is in the fifth spot with those other movies I mentioned, along with Aladdin sneaking in there as well. Fifth on the domestic charts would be 2023's The Little Mermaid. So musicals, they obviously can work. It's typically Disney musicals, though, that draw the crowds.
Wildly enough, the only movie that I've seen that you listed out of there is Wicked.
Really?
I never saw the Lion King remake or the Beauty and the Beast remake.
I didn't see Lion King or Beauty and the Beast.
Well, I think there's you know, when it comes to Lion King, Mufasa's obviously coming out around Christmas. Is it Christmas Day or is it a week before?
I I think it's December 19th or 20th,
Okay, I think it is a week before.
and they've got those fan events. They've got another one called the main event. Get it, Tim?
I get it. I get it.
Did you get it like a lion's mane? And
Yeah,
this is the
Didn't
Lion
love that.
King.
I got it. I got it, Tyler.
All right.
Mane, Gucci Mane. Okay.
I'd
There's an
rather be a Gucci event.
yes. You don't have to. I don't think you have seen 2019's The Lion King in order to be able to enjoy this because it is a prequel. So
That's
you
true.
should be able to be good going in, however you choose to.
And I would hope that I could go into a prequel of 2019's Lion King, only seeing 1994's Lion King.
You should be good.
I
Should
would
be
think
good.
so.
Liquid is the event that it's being referred to as with Gladiator and
It
Wicked
just
opening
doesn't
up at the same time.
flow.
It doesn't, but they're
It
trying
doesn't.
so hard as a promotional tool to recreate Barbenheimer. And it paced behind Barbenheimer, but there's still an element
Yeah.
of it's two very different films that are big releases that are releasing at the same time. They combined for a $270 million haul in worldwide ticket sales. Wicked stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. It debuted with 114 million domestically, 164.2 million globally, and it's going to continue to expand to other markets across the world. So it has not had its full release. Originally, Wicked and Moana 2 were set to go head to head, and Wicked moved back a week. And I think they're actually going to benefit from having moved back a week because they
Yeah.
have more exposure. And once again, the marketing campaign for this, not only in the theater system and the actual film system, but with the product tie-ins across so many, I think it was like 400 different brands
Holy
that had
cow.
a Wicked tie-in, and they used that money as well with those brands to be able to, put it towards production costs. So this is a film that is everywhere right now. It is the third biggest opening of the year behind Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2. And it is a long one, about 3 hours
It
long.
is.
But some Oscar experts now expect it to be a contender for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, among other categories like Ariana Grande for Best Supporting Actress potentially. Each Wicked installation Part 1 and Part 2 cost around $150 million a piece to make. So this is going to be a profitable franchise, and this one, who knows what it's going to hit? Will it be a billion-dollar film? Certainly seems like it could be, Tyler.
Could be, but I feel like movies like Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2 would have more of that mass appeal
Yeah.
than Wicked does. But I could see it going either way. I could see this coming up just short,
The
most
question is,
likely.
how many repeat
That's what I was
viewings
about to
will this
say.
have?
Yep.
Because the diehard fans, and there's a lot of them obviously propelling this
Mhm.
movie to where it is already. How many times do they plan to see Wicked in the theater, belting out their favorite parts, while everyone else is just trying to enjoy the popcorn?
Not as many as you'd think, in my opinion, just because of the runtime. That's 3 hours is a long time to block out for a movie on a day. So
But if you're already invested in that franchise and you've been waiting on this, I think this will be something that they'll be they'll go back 4 times. And then the sing-along version too. They're gonna definitely go back to that one. And I think that this is an opportunity, to bring various people in because you love this franchise so much. So you're like, yeah, I'm gonna cry and sit through another 3 hours.
Barbie was a billion-dollar movie.
Mhm.
Oppenheimer was a near billion-dollar movie
Mhm.
with a almost 3-hour runtime. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think if I had to bet right now of if this thing hits the billion-dollar mark, I'm actually going to say yes.
I am too.
I'm gonna vote yes, but I'm not 100% sure. But that would be my gut right now. And I also think, with this second wave of the interactive showings in December,
Right,
it's
right.
really very smart to try to drum up the money. And a lot of people feel like they have to kind of catch up on this now because it is so, no pun intended, popular to the point
Mhm.
where they got to get ready for Wicked Part 2 that
Yeah.
comes out a year from now.
Yeah, and I honestly, when you said the production costs, I thought that they'd be more expensive than what they are.
I agree. They took a really relatively safe
Yeah.
gamble, and it looks like it's going to pay off big for him. So we will see. But I promise you this: you will not see Tyler Lionel Johns in another screening of Wicked this year or any other year.
No.
But what's your plan for Wicked Part 2? Are you going to like
I'm on the
prepare
fence
yourself?
now. Man, I don't know if I can strap myself in for another 3-hour musical.
Okay, well we will see.
And I might just show up and watch UEG and Pav review that one.
Okay,
You could do that.
he'll be there in the hall
Y'all can
rooting
let
us on.
y'all can let me know how it is.
There's not enough Wicked cocktails to get you into
No.
the theater, huh? Happily.
Correct.
Okay.
I
Pink
ooh.
drinks.
What's your review of the cocktail though that AMC's offering?
So I only tried one of them. They've got two of them, a pink and a green one, because of course they do. Um, the
Naturally.
green one is a it's like sour apple citrus. I haven't tried that one. And then the pink one is watermelon coconut flavor. It's pretty good.
So will you get
Um,
the green one this week?
no, I'll probably just go back to one of my regulars.
And what is that? What are your regulars?
So my regular is normally it's sour apple liqueur, Sprite, cranberry juice, and vodka. That's my regular. And then other times I'll go with one that's bourbon, melon liqueur, pineapple juice, and Sprite.
Wow, very sophisticated it feels like.
Very.
I don't know. I mean,
It depends on the vibe of the movie. You understand?
right, you're not a need to have popcorn person at the movies, right?
No, I usually I'll usually just eat some dinner beforehand,
Yeah.
or maybe get a little snack at the movies, but not popcorn.
I do wonder how it would mix with popcorn because I don't
Yeah,
feel
I
like I
don't
feel
feel
like
like those flavors complement.
no.
Ugh,
You're
no.
a popcorn first kind of lady.
Popcorn and Coke.
Yeah, popcorn and
Strictly.
Coke,
I
and
don't
you're
I
good.
don't vary from that. I don't venture out. Give me a popcorn, give me a Coke.
What I love is when other people are like, "Well, hey, EG, do you want to try a different thing?" And you have to politely be like, "No, I know
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
doing.
Yeah.
I know what I'm going." But you
Yeah.
you never fully turn it down. You just are very much
Like,
you go get your
oh,
popcorn and
yeah.
your Coke. Gladiator 2 opened up with $55.5 million, a little bit less than the $60 million that was projected in domestic ticket sales this weekend, but it performed really well overseas as well, adding another 50.5 million internationally. This is a film that cost $100 million more than Wicked to make.
Really? Well,
Cost
okay.
$250 million to produce this one. 72% of ticket buyers for Wicked were female. 61% of Gladiator 2 ticket sales were male.
Shocking.
I know. Who would have predicted that one?
Not me.
But most of the Lululemon buyers going to see Wicked instead of Gladiator 2. There we have it. Oh, and Red 1 still exists.
Yeah, I saw that pulled in another, 13 million over the weekend.
Yeah.
So they've almost got their money back with that $30 million opening and then 13 million this weekend.
Let me put this into perspective, EG.
Okay.
Ready? So I told you Gladiator 2 cost $250 million
Yep.
to make. So did Red 1. Red 1 cost $250 million to make with CGI polar bears.
Is that
And
money laundering? Be honest.
I think so. That's what I think
Two.
because you don't see it in the screen. The CGI looks garbage.
$250 million. I
Eh.
mean, it has bigger names than Gladiator 2, and it has bigger names than Wicked. There's no doubt about that, right? Bigger names for Red 1? The Rock? I mean,
Yeah, you got The Rock and Chris Evans, J.K.
Yeah, for
Simmons,
sure.
but I don't see anyone other than The Rock and Chris Evans. Those are the money makers.
Wicked
And
only has
Yeah.
Ariana Grande.
but
that is correct in terms of marketability. I mean, maybe a little bit of Jeff Goldblum, but not
Not
really.
really.
It's more Ariana Grande and her sort of presence really
Yeah.
pushing it. But it really is the IP for Wicked that
Yes.
sells it. And then for Gladiator 2, the name that jumps off the page to a lot of people is Denzel,
Mhm.
as sort of being this, sophisticated draw to the movie with, okay, let's watch these other guys. Pedro Pascal has done great work in Worlds. I mean, he's a part of so many different adaptations, so many different series, but I don't think he's really as much of a draw
I
as
agree.
somebody like Denzel is for this type of movie. So Gladiator 2 doing pretty well. Red 1, $13.3 million. It has a global haul currently of $117 million on a $250 million budget. That does not include marketing. So it's not been great for Red 1, but they're taking the big gamble that once it hits streaming, it's going to find new life. And
oh yeah, because it's getting such good word of mouth now.
How does streaming work from a financial standpoint?
It
They
doesn't.
sell the film to the distributor, and then what is the final check? How do you
so the group behind Red One is Amazon. They have their own streaming service and Amazon Prime.
Uh-huh.
So their plan is to try to get as much money as they possibly can theatrically, and then let this be a draw to more subscription growth, where they're getting maybe even monthly income off of people who are like, "Oh, Red One's on Amazon. Yeah, I'll sign up for that." And
Yikes.
build a library of content that they feel like will play for years to come.
So they're not monetizing off of sheer view numbers of Red One once it's on Amazon Prime.
No, they
Nope.
don't. It's not it's more of subscriber growth, more of
Interesting.
people that are going to be a part of the ecosystem and stay there and make Red One a holiday tradition that they want to relive year after year after year,
Yikes.
which I can't think of
Like,
maybe a
like I
worse.
said, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Making money on streaming does not work.
No, they haven't quite figured it out how to do that, but
Mm.
it's all about growing in subscribers. That's what it's all about. And they feel like Red One, the more it's talked about, the more subscriber growth that they'll see off of it. When it comes to the top 10, no real shocks there with the rest of how it rolls out. Smile 2 still hanging on there in the number 9 spot. I tried to find a screening of Smile 2 today. It has been the movie that's eluded me. And
You can't find it.
the only screening is like 10 o'clock at night. And so if I
Theory.
have an early poker exit, I will go see it. But it's on
It-
digital now.
It's still playing?
It's still playing. Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Huh.
No, it's still playing.
I might go see it again this week.
It's in a couple of theaters, but they're all like one showing a day, late showings. So check that out if you want to. And A Real Pain still hanging on there in the 10 spot. We have a spoiler-filled review on A Real Pain. This is Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg, and it's one of our favorites of the year combined. I mean, me and
Oh,
you,
yeah.
we both really like it. Our review is up, so if you've seen that movie, check out our review. I think it's a really great conversation.
Or if you haven't seen it, I don't feel like our spoilers really spoiled the movie.
Yeah,
I mean, we tell you the ending, but it doesn't spoil the movie in my opinion.
Interesting.
okay.
You're not waiting on Thanos to show up.
There's two last things I want to get to here on today's show. Anything with the chat that you want to throw out, Tyler? Let me know. Give me a signal and I will throw it to you. But I want to talk about Wolves 2.
What?
Okay, so you asked about the streaming. I was actually probably going to save this for tomorrow, but you brought up the streaming ecosystem.
Yes, I did.
There was a movie that came out this year that nobody saw called Wolves, that nobody saw in the theater.
Wait, can you spell that? Is it WOLVES or WOLFS?
FS.
That's unique.
Yes, Wolves. And it stars Brad Pitt and George Clooney. And these guys play different cleaner uppers when some horrible diabolical crime has happened. They come in, they make the body go away, and they happen to both be hired for the same job, and they don't want to get hired for the same job. They want to work separately, and it looks like a zany, dark comedy, and it did not look good.
Okay.
The trailer came out and it looked tonally very off, and I'm like, who is this movie made for? Like, what demographic is going to go watch this movie? And it's made for Apple. Apple had been working with John Watts. John Watts is most known for his Spider-Man contributions with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, the good Spider-Man stuff, compared to what Sony has been doing with a lot of the Spider-Verse. And he goes off to be the main creative lead on Wolves, writing and directing it. And he learns all of a sudden that it's not going to get a full theatrical release. This is what
Wow.
he ended up saying. Quote, I showed Apple my final cut of Wolves early this year. They were extremely enthusiastic about it and immediately commissioned me to start writing a sequel. But their last minute shift from a promised wide theatrical release to a streaming release was a total surprise and made without any explanation or discussion. I wasn't even told about it until less than a week before they announced it to the world. I was completely shocked and asked them to please not include the news that I was going to write a sequel. They ignored my request and announced it in their press release anyway, seemingly to create a positive spin to their streaming pivot. And so I quietly returned the money they gave me for the sequel. I didn't want to talk about it because I was proud of the film and didn't want to generate any unnecessary negative press. I loved working with Brad and George and would happily do it again. But the truth is that Apple didn't cancel the Wolf sequel. I did because I no longer trusted them as a creative partner.
Wow.
Wow, you can't get more clear as a creative than coming out
No.
and saying something like that. So, if you remember, Tyler, before Wolves even had a chance to come out, I told you they've already announced the sequel, and you're like, what? They've announced a sequel for this
Yes.
movie that already looks awful? And
Yes.
what a weird gamble. Well, John Watts didn't even want them announcing a sequel because he felt like it killed the momentum of the first one. Now, Wolves has reportedly, by Apple, become the most viewed feature film ever released on Apple TV.
I don't buy it. I
No.
don't buy it. So what? 10 people watched it? Who cares?
I don't know.
I'm tired of these companies saying this is the most popular thing ever. Well,
Yeah.
can we see the numbers? No.
This is very similar to what
What's
we
the point?
saw with Roadhouse earlier this year. When we launched the Meltdown, the big story was the Roadhouse director, Doug Liman, was very upset with not getting a full theatrical release or not getting any theatrical release with Roadhouse starring Jake Gyllenhaal that came out earlier this year. And it's not the worst movie of the year. It's still
That would have been fun to see in the theaters, I think.
it would have been fun to see in the theaters, and they decided to throw it right on streaming because once again, what do they want?
Money. Oh,
Subscribers.
subscribers. Same thing.
No, they actually don't want money, weirdly
Yeah.
enough, and that's why they keep throwing everything towards these just not profitable streaming platforms.
Roadhouse would have made probably, based on when it came out, it would have made at least $30 million, maybe 50. I mean, it would have gotten people
Would
to
have
the
gotten there.
theater. People were already sort of foot trafficking the theater at that point. They would have gone to see Roadhouse. This was when Dune came out, around when
Mhm.
Dune came out, and people would have been there to go see it as good counter programming.
I would have gone to see it. I went to see Dune 5 times instead.
Yeah. You've seen how many 2024 movies?
110, 111.
And Roadhouse is not one of those.
Correct.
Because
It went straight to
it
streaming.
went straight to streaming. And if they had released it in the theater, there would have been a lot of people who had seen more of Roadhouse, which is not the worst movie in the world. I'm going to continue to say that. It's a little bit eccentric, but it's not bad. It's not bad. But Apple right now, they're focused on shooting the Brad Pitt movie F1, which looks like it is in contention as well for maybe biggest production budget ever with how much is being put into that. It will get a full theatrical release through Warner Brothers before heading to Apple TV Plus. So these streamers don't have the right formula down yet of their relationship with the theaters because the streamers are trying to undo the theaters. They want everything coming straight to them. They want to control all content going straight to consumer, and the theaters aren't a part of their future plans.
Yeah, I just don't understand how they ever see themselves making money by dumping 200, 250, 320 for Gladiator 2 into the production of a movie, then marketing it, and expecting a return. What is up with the budgets for movies these days?
At least Gladiator it's being done by a traditional studio. When you have the Apples and the Amazons that are getting all their revenue from the stuff that we buy, the electronics, the merchandise, their money is coming from that and they're putting it into these films that they don't care if they generate money
So
because they
the Apple Films account, let's say, that's in the hole, but
Right.
they're just moving money. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul, basically.
basically, yes, they don't care about financial returns on the
Oh,
movies. They care about clout, they care about awards,
Mm,
they care about critical reception, they care about prestige. So they go
nobody's
to
seeing these movies.
sound like the worst kind of
How can you
people.
get any awards? They get no attention because nobody goes to see them.
remember Apple spent what $200 million plus on Killers of the Flower Moon so that way they could say we've got Scorsese, we've got DiCaprio, we've got De Niro. We are, basically buying our seat at the studio table
Yeah,
because they're taking all this. They've got so much money. I mean, so much money. Apple and Amazon, you take them and I mean, they can produce a lot of stuff and they're trying to take it to people like Disney that do this for a living. But as you see, Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, they're towards the top of, they are the top two spots of grosses. And you look at things like Wolves and you're like, how bad do you miss the mark on this? You look at Killers of the Flower Moon. That movie needed an intermission. You look, I
yeah.
mean,
Okay, did that movie end up taking any awards?
no,
I can't remember.
no,
Okay,
no,
okay.
I don't think it did.
I was about to say because that was a very disappointing movie
No,
for the level I was
it got a
expecting.
lot of nominations, no award wins. I think Lily Gladstone was
She
the
was good
front runner, but she was ended up being beat by Emma Stone for
for
um,
Poor Things.
More Things.
Yeah.
Correct. For some reason, I wanted to call it I Frankenstein, which is, I believe,
Isn't that the Aaron Eckhart movie?
that is Aaron Eckhart, and that is a very different movie, but it
Yeah.
super works if you've seen Poor Things. All right, final segment of the day. We're going to go to EG's corner.
yeah.
We're going to call this something in the future that makes a lot more sense than what we're calling it here in this first time.
Okay.
But EG's corner of confidence leads us
Sure.
to our future here,
Ooh.
and this kind of works for everybody.
Does.
Tell me how this works, EG.
So we love Chinese food here, and
do.
Oh,
we
yeah.
order it quite a lot.
We do.
So we have decided, and this may be tweaks going forward, but there is a website. It's not a secure website. I'm getting an alert, but you can open a fortune cookie via the internet. So
And it
that's
tastes better, actually.
it does.
Yeah.
It does. So that's what we're gonna do. And Tim, I'm gonna let you direct which fortune click goes where because you have a sixth sense, if you will.
Okay. I think the very first fortune should go to John Saber, who's in the chat right
Oh,
now.
I love it. Okay, Say Bear, get ready.
Here's your fortune, Saber. Ready? Listen up.
Determination is the wake up call to the human will.
Ooh. You know what that means? Play better poker. That's what that means. That's what that's called right there.
Right?
Saber's like, have you seen me the past 2 cash games we've played? But tournament poker.
Next participant is
Tyler.
Tyler. When you're about to turn your heart into a stone, remember, you do not walk alone.
We had just talked about Lily Gladstone and
Oh.
Emma Stone.
Wow. One more time. When you're about to turn your heart into a stone, remember, you do not walk alone.
Maybe that's a
Ooh.
wicked thing.
Poetic.
And you don't walk alone because you're not walking into theaters alone anymore because there's people all around.
So
This is
true.
really deep.
This is.
This is
He
Tyler.
doesn't love. He
This is
doesn't love.
Tyler's least favorite segment
It is.
ever. Okay, this one's mine. This
Okay.
next one's mine.
To be old and wise, you must first be young and stupid.
Okay,
It's a
well,
country song, I think,
I hope to eventually be old and wise.
by
but
Frankie Ballard. Young and
I
stupid.
guess
You
I'm
shaving the beard. I told you that the
Oh,
beard made you look like you were about to drop some sage wisdom. You're about to look young and stupid again when you.
Tyler calls this revenge. This is what he calls it
yeah,
based on
agreed.
my analysis, and this is why this segment is going to hurt friendships.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, EG, this last one's for you.
Love is free. Lust will cost you everything you have.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
EG,
I don't.
lock it
that's-
down.
I know that is
Scandalous.
deep. Okay.
What's happening? I
I
have
don't know.
follow-up questions, but I'm not going to ask them on air.
Yeah. Love is free. Lust will cost you everything you have. Yikes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's all calm down here and say goodbye to the Meltdonians that have been here with us all throughout the show. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. We're here with you every day live, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. If you want to help out, make sure you visit our title sponsor. That is MyBookie, where you can bet anything, anywhere, anytime. Make sure you use promo code NEXTROUND, 300% sign-on bonus for the casino, for you to enjoy there at MyBookie. Make sure you check them out. Once again, promo code NEXTROUND, and we appreciate their support here of Meltdonia. We will see you once again tomorrow here on this week of Thanksgiving live, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern, as we have a lot of fun scheduled for you for the remainder of the week. Make sure, if you're not already, subscribe and hit that like button.